Hey guys, it's your course director, Emily here. Just wanted to review these portfolio websites and give you guys some positive, productive feedback on where to take these sites from here. So as you know, your portfolio site will never be done, and that is because you're always going to be getting better at what you do and doing better work and always needing to shape this to be a reflection of your skills and your abilities and sort of who you want to be and the kinds of work that you want to do in the industry. So with all that being said, know that this feedback is to get it to its next best place, and that the expectation is that you incorporate these changes rather quickly, because what I see is that opportunities come when you least expect them. And if you don't have a portfolio site that's complete, and by complete I just mean not missing content, not in various stages of development, you're going to need that to showcase to people at any point in time. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be complete. So with that, I'm going to offer some thoughts, and the encouragement is that you make these changes sooner than later, so that you have a tool or just an asset that you can show that says this is where I am at this point in time. So let's get started. So this is Brian Boyd's. I know that because I clicked the link in FSO under his name, and so I don't really understand the FMRH, and maybe I'm not meant to, but what is the context for this? Like, I don't understand the brand. I want to know a little bit more about it. So to me, this doesn't really have an identity because I can't relate to this, and maybe it's just that I don't know the story, but then tell me the story. You're using a Squarespace site, so your design is on point and everything is aesthetically really clean. I just want to make a bit more sense about what this means to you, and then ultimately what it should mean to me. So let me help you tell your stories. Scrolling down, we've got an image that's not loading here. See this where the file name shows up sort of in this place? When you guys don't title your images or give them alt text when you upload them, that's kind of behind the scenes information about these files, right? And so like Google or other search engines index this information as well. So like if you were to put maybe the title of this image, when it doesn't load, I would get sort of a descriptive statement about what should be here. So even if I don't see it, I know what's supposed to be here. We've got a little bit of a background here talking about your work and sort of your focus. You got your Instagram here. I checked that out a few minutes ago and got into a little rabbit hole of seeing all of your adventures. There are a few spelling issues like in some of the paragraphs, so make sure you go back and review that there. Just going to jump next over to photography. And as that is loading in here to the page, I'm going to just refresh it to see if it'll come in a little bit more quickly. Okay, it's just down a little bit further, so I'm not sure if this is like an unused banner image that you need to upload something there. This text needs to be left aligned, so you're never going to center align paragraph text. I'm not sure what's going on, but like the images aren't quite loading. This is where your Instagram's supposed to come in. I'm just not sure what's going on with the loading of this at the moment. So I'm going to jump over to videography, see if that's a similar issue. So scrolling down, it looks like the videos are coming in. And so what I see here is, again, center align, when it needs to be left aligned. Give me a page title up here. This is a bunch of unused space. It's just not really effectively using the template that you've chosen. Because it's pushing all this great content down, right? Like when this loads and I don't see anything, I'm like, page is broken, but it's not broken, it's just down here, but you're taking a chance. I love sort of this reflective storytelling that you do up here. It bodes well for what you said in the beginning, which is let me help you tell your story. And when you tell your stories, Brian, it shows that you have an ear and an eye and an ability for story. So I dig what you've got going on here. The videos on this page are cool because they're great work. They showcase your skills and ability, but I don't have much in terms of deeper contextualization for them, right? So what I would maybe like to say is, aside from we do see the title here and we kind of get a little bit of something in the thumbnail, is give me a title, a description, and then like what was your sort of full role in it, right? Because with video, we know that there's so much that goes into it. Were you just a producer? Were you the camera guy? Were you the editor? Did you do the storyboard? Were you the cinematographer? There's so much that goes into it. You want to infuse these descriptions with that keyword content, because then people get a more full idea of, number one, everything that goes into creating a video, that it's not just as simple as, lickety split, here you've got a nice 30-second to 1 minute piece. But it also lets people know like what kind of roles they can hire you for. Clients, I'm going to jump over here and scroll down. So these are videos that you've created for other people. And so the same feedback applies. When you are showcasing this stuff, let me know a little more about it, right? So Broco Web 2, Broco Web 3, that's not a meaningful title, right? So like what I'm seeing here is maybe this is the name of the client, but like what were you asked to do? Because if I know what you were asked to do and then I play one of these videos, I get a better understanding about like your design solution or your video solution there. So under journal, again, is this page broken? Probably not, because here's where the info is. So this looks like it's going to be like a blog type format. I would, knowing Squarespace, I would use this more as a summary block page, meaning that not just having one post here, but having like, like a thumbnail excerpt, thumbnail excerpt, thumbnail excerpt. Right now this is fine because if you only have one post, understandable, but using it like the summary block when you're inserting sort of your content with those eyedroppers, it just is going to allow us to see more of the content in one spot and then be, have the ability to choose more so what we want to take a look at. And then last but not least, just a simple contact form. I am really loving seeing this come together for you, especially, with the context of your recent, trip to see your grandpa and the cameras. Like, it'd be really cool to see you maybe do a post on your journal about, that experience or some of the cameras, or even just like a case study of your experimentation, with that one that has the 4 lenses, and then to share like the, the images that you created with that. I am excited about this, Brian, so keep pushing with it. All right, next up we have Drew. So here, just a simple Wix site. This is great in terms of, we've got the identity, we've got very clear navigation, social media accounts over here that are in fact linking to other locations where I can get in touch with Drew. Something is a bit of a disconnect for me in that sort of like this thin font choice. It doesn't, in my mind, it's not as consistent, and also with color, as sort of like the bold, heavy weighted typography and color, like bright colors that you use in your presentations, like in your final progress presentations, have been like orange or yellows. And so this design aesthetic is kind of counter to what I've seen you do before. And I'm curious which one is the right one, right? I've also never heard you talk about Disney, right? So I don't quite understand this in connection with your streaming, right? So for right now, I'm like, a little bit of a disconnect, right? It looks great, sort of like stylistically. I don't have any comments as to say like the design doesn't work, but just the aesthetic is inconsistent with what I've seen you do. So like this typography is more in alignment with what I've seen in the past, but also like very different from the kind of like this very thin up here. There's not much here on the homepage besides a quote from someone else, like I have your identity, but nothing that actually says anything about you really under biography. So here we've got a picture and then like a short description. A lot of students have trouble figuring out, well, what do I put on the homepage if I have an about page, right? Because this site is about you, it stands to reason that your homepage would have bio or about me type information. There's not a lot on this page, and so what you need to do is just consolidate this into one area. Projects. So we've got photography here, and just like kind of note again that like this typography is kind of different in flavor than what we see up here. So, be mindful of achieving some consistency. So here we have some pictures and just like some really beautiful scenes, but not quite sure of the relevancy of this, right, to what I know that you're doing right now. So something to think about. Watch what happens when I hover over these links, right? It goes from like kind of a bluish green to white, which makes it really hard to see. That's a usability issue, not enough color contrast, so you'll want to review that. So here, this is a great setup for the resume. Like it is selectable text, that's keyword-rich content. You have done a nice job in laying this out in such a way that search engines are going to find you and be able to connect. As you continue to do projects and add your experience, please continue to update this. I can't tell you how helpful it is if you do it in sort of a regular and consistent fashion, and just a simple contact form, but no call to action. Why should people contact you? Like, what is, are you for hire? Are you for collaborations? Like, why would you want people to hire you? The more specific you can be with that, you can kind of focus the touch points that you get, right? Like, there are certain people that like, I would love, to contact me or hire me for XYZ, but not for ABC. And, like, as you become more of a professional and in the working world, and your number of emails about work type stuff increases, you'll want to just make sure that you are trying to like funnel inquiries and things like that, to help you just get the ones that you want. Overall, this is nice, Drew, but I think that there are some questions that need to be answered about style and focus. This was Carlos's site. I can see that he's doing it on Squarespace, which I'm thoroughly encouraged about. I just think it's a very smooth, interface, and ultimately, kind of keeps your design aesthetic a bit more consistent. But as we can see, the site has expired, which means that either you need to extend your trial and or pay for that. Students get 50% discount with Squarespace, so go to Google, type in Squarespace student discount, and I mean, it ends up being like $6 a month, which is like a combo meal at McDonald's or something. Invest that in yourself, you guys, because then you can start to get paid for your work. So Carlos, send me the link. All right, next we have Tyler. So this was very clean as I was like poking through it. It's simple. Like, honestly, you guys don't need more than this. This is a nice example of a one-pager. But so like, what is a huge disconnect for me is this is kind of like not the Tyler I know at all. It's very sort of design, kind of design centric, right? So here, scrolling down, we've got this large banner image, which looks stock in nature. So as media professionals, you guys should not be using stock, because you all have access to each other as photographers to get more relevant imagery going in here. Exclusive services, branding, logo design, which is interesting because I believe that you can do this stuff, except I've never seen any of it. And also, I have like none of your gaming stuff is on it. So you say I can do branding and logo design, but you don't share any of that. I'm curious. I don't know you at all as a dedicated graphic designer, and maybe that's just because I haven't seen any of your work. But like, a portfolio is for you to share that work, right? So it doesn't make sense. A lot of this seems like just placeholder content and a little bit of maybe a little bit of a cop out in terms of like kind of going for, not really digging deep into what you're actually doing and how to promote, what you're spending so much of your time on. So clean, functional, easy to update, but not necessarily, I'm not really seeing the Tyler that I know in it at all. So lots needs to happen here. So here we've got Jen, really nice image. It's not really in focus, so something for you to kind of revisit. The logo over here, absolutely tiny, like probably would have missed it if I wasn't specifically looking for some sort of branding information. The DLS, I don't understand that because it's not like explained in a bigger way right here. The color choices for the navigation get lost with the background up there, and I could almost lose the word home. So just some aesthetic choices. This probably the size of this has to do with your template choice within Squarespace. This is really clean, really nice, but something for you to be thinking about. If I can't see this or like contextualize it in any way, like it won't, it's not effective in that regard. Kind of scrolling down here, So I help others navigate so they can discover their purpose in life. Okay, so like I appreciate the faith driven focus of this for sure. But this is a little bit vague in that, like, well, how do you do that, right? So like how does that go? Under ministry, I'll go ahead and select ministry. So here we've got sort of bringing in some of your videos, and it looks like maybe some of the assets that you've created. Like this is a really nice start. But it's sort of like I'm having a hard, I understand that this is the focus of your work and that you're using your media communication skills in the way of channeling this ministry stuff, but I think that you need to stitch it together a little bit more completely so that we understand the focus, right? And then photography. So some of this work here, like great photos. How does photography fit into your ministry, right? Like, so these are really tough answers. There's also something that I want to point out. Here's this logo again that like I can't even see on Squarespace. They're kind of like forcing you into different design elements because they want to make your sites responsive to mobile. My recommendation up here is this is a text-based version of whatever DLS stands for. And then is it De Los Santos? I don't know because that really hasn't jumped out or been fully explained, but like, so maybe you write that out up here and then use this banner image for a larger version of this graphic. I can appreciate the nuanced and challenged, that you are going to be faced with. How do you communicate using your skills and abilities in your faith-driven work? But like that is the task at hand. I encourage you to put some more context and some more connectivity around how you want to share your thoughts and your purpose and how you can help people, using the skills that you have. Next up, let's take a look at Chris. So very clean. We've got the name, we've got the branding information up here, a little bit of about you. This is a great homepage. It's simple. We've got the information about what it is and what you're into. I know that you're into sports. So this picture of you, like I might like to see, I love the picture, but I might like to see something that is a little bit more related to broadcasting and or sports here, because like that is the focus of who I know you to be and like where you want your career to go. So it'd be nice to see that connection there. Under projects, just scrolling down, so here are some video games, or sorry, not video games, but videos of you, broadcasting. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this to say, see all videos, and I see them here. But one of the things that I will tell all of you guys is that you need to give me the context for, being able to make a choice about, these particular videos. If I'm busy and I can only choose a couple, so like here we have Flyers versus Penguins. So thank you for the title. I know how long it is, and I guess you contextualize it in a way up here where you say that you're doing the broadcasting and examples of it. So you kind of make it clear that you didn't create these videos. This is rough. In that I feel like on this page, instead of seeing these big videos, right, because like I might want to see them in more of like a thumbnail or a tile form where you give me the title and then maybe you give me the focus of like of what you're trying to do with that broadcast, because they just seem like they kind of run together here. And I kind of lose you in it because I'm like looking at these sports teams, and that's like a bit of a disconnect. This might be something we can like brainstorm a little bit more in person. Because yeah, I think it's important for you to highlight your your broadcasting skills. But the way these videos are laid out, it just kind of makes me feel like I'm going to watch a sports game, and I sort of lose the connection to you in it. It might be something in the future that when you are like kind of broadcasting, you're also screen capturing, right? So that maybe your eyesight camera is capturing you doing that, because I just lose you in this and I get really focused on the professional sports teams. under resume. So here, this looks great. I'm like always pleased to see you guys, doing this in such a way that you don't just screenshot, a print version of your resume, but you're using layout and formatting options within a web page so that this stays keyword rich content. This kind of formatting here where you've like kind of tabbed over, that's like something you would do for print. For web, just kind of keep in mind that F-shaped pattern, and that's okay that that would be listed under here. You would use headings, subheadings, bulleted lists in a way to kind of differentiate that content. Last but not least, we have your contact page. It's simple, but like, why should people contact you? What do you want people to contact you about? I need you guys to be thinking about just explaining this a bit more, explaining yourself, explaining the like sort of the focus or the desire of why you have this website, right? Yeah, explain that more. So here we have Trevor. So this light blue does not work, or this sort of like Tiffany blue does not fully work on this grayscale image of San Francisco. In portfolio reviews in the past, we've talked about the relevancy of these choices. Like, this is a Wix template. I've seen this San Francisco fog scene like many times before, but I know that you're from Georgia, and I know that you now live in Florida, and I don't understand this as context for why this is here. Again, as media communicators, you guys should have your own content. I know that you are into photography, Trevor, so like, why do I not see any of your own photography here on this site? Again, this blue, not enough color contrast, but when I'm scrolling up, you can see when it does, but like the image that you've included here in the background, or this like dynamic image, is really it's complicating the contrast and things to be seen here. Your social media does not belong in this place in the header up here, because that's where your identity goes, right? So like, watch when I scroll, Trevor goes away and I have no identity up here for the site. I just have your social media. This belongs on your site, but not here. Your name needs to go here. Scrolling down, a little bit about you. This all caps is a bit like yelling, and it's also harder to read because this becomes like a word search, right? So like, I'm just looking for like letters to circle to form words. When you have full sentences and like paragraph text, you do not want to use all caps. So scrolling down, here we have a picture of another city, right? Another city that is not your city. So it's hard to understand those components. We have create here, and I click on it, nothing happens. Storytell, I click on it, nothing happens. These shapes look like buttons, and that button intuitively makes me think, oh, click on it to find like interesting examples of these work, and that's not what delivers. So there's a disconnect with that as well. Scrolling down, we have let's see, just some examples of your work. I'm going to click on this. It's like got some cool infographics, but like no context at all to understand anything that you're showing me, right? Like, cool, what is this? Why am I looking at it? What are you trying to show me? Did you design this? Going back, like, cool. I'm looking at this, but I have like, are you trying to showcase graphic design? Are you trying to showcase branding? Title, description, full detail of what your take on the project was. And then we just have simple get in touch down here. So I want to highlight too that your social media icons here are in fact linking to Wix places, so that needs to be updated. These black icons are in stark contrast to anything else you have going on here on the site. So that's a disconnect too. This is a functional layout, meaning that you've got the elements in place, but more care needs to be taken about some of your choices in terms of aesthetic, but also content strategy and how you support that with, laying out that content and explaining that content. And then last but not least, we've got Lorgy. So clear identity up front. You tell me that you're into graphic design and media specialist. And what's cool is like, yeah, here is a picture of you, but like it is a piece of digital and graphic art. So like here you are showing exactly what you're talking about. So for me, that works. We have an about me, portfolio, and contact. As I scroll down, I get to this about me page. I'm wondering if I click on that, okay, it doesn't take me anywhere, so that's kind of like your homepage, which is fine. I'm scrolling down a little bit of a backstory. I appreciate the simplicity of this. It works. You actually don't need anything more complicated than this. Like a lot of times you think, oh, I have to have ABC pages or this type of content. You need what works for you and how to showcase your work in the most effective manner. So I hit portfolio and I'm scrolling down, I see my work. And so here I see kind of like a collage of different things. And all of this looks like schoolwork, right? So editing for the web and graphic design, and also like not even like a really good high quality, like that looks really sort of pixelized in a way that doesn't represent the work well, even though the design elements are in place, right? Or the principles are in place. This is not my favorite way to showcase your work because it's like this hodgepodge without any explanation of what I'm seeing. Like even this, like where you've given me a title and I'm hovering over it, right? But like this is a business card, but it's blown up so big that like it doesn't represent the work well. And this is a website. Okay, so, but like I click on the website and it's going to take me to the full like contextualization of the project, so which is cool. But like when you're showing a website, I actually want to be able to see the website, and it like, so if I click on this, then I do that. But like, how many steps have I had to take to get here, right? Think about your user experience. My recommendation is like under portfolio where it says my work, like to potentially like highlight these projects not as like a collage, but like a single project. Give me the title, the description, and then like a compelling visual, and then you can say learn more, and maybe that takes me to the page that this takes me to, right? And then on here you talk about your design choices. You maybe do show me mock-ups, and then maybe you say view full site. When you are showcasing your work, you want to make sure that you showcase it in the best light possible. I'm going to go back to the About Me, and then I'm going to scroll down. We've got the contact here, so this is going to take me to a simple form. Yeah, so like this is functional, and you guys, you're in portfolio 3 right now, which means you're kind of getting a handle on the types of work you want to do and how you want to showcase like that, and this is all cool. Keep experimenting, but also, by the time you get to portfolio 6, it is my hope that none of your portfolios contain Real Deal Taco websites or Butterbean Farm or Lake Worth longboards or anything like that, because that is schoolwork, right? And so what are you doing beyond the schoolwork? Schoolwork is a place to practice what you're going to do like outside in the world for other people, hopefully for money. So that is where the responsibility, particularly where your portfolio or portfolio class in general lies. If you guys have questions about this feedback, let me know. I keep these videos forever on YouTube where I post them, so that we kind of have this chronological like timeline where we can go back and see your site when you first submitted it versus when you're going to submit it again and again and again. And so if you need to review this at any point in time, know that you can always go back and look there.